As an artist, one thing I try to avoid is having to answer the question, what does it mean? For the most part, I think that visual art should speak for itself through the eye, your intuition, and your emotions. And that's not to say that I haven't been inspired or gained greater insight and appreciation into a work by learning more about the artist's state of mind, circumstances, or motivation for completing the piece. But the question, what does it mean, seems to demand that the artist now recreate the entirety of the work in a format that the creative impetus was never intended for. As if trying to sum up an entire novel with a painting, or perhaps a movie with a sculpture. And that's why I dreaded writing descriptions of my work for my new website, and in all fairness, my designer made certain I knew it's entirely optional. However, it may add something to the user's experience. And I knew she was right. If it was done correctly, it would add something very special. But if done poorly, it would greatly detract too. Of all the descriptions I needed to write, there is only one where I feel I did both my art and the audience true justice. And that is for my 30 by 40 inch oil painting, the Baphomet. This is a work that I completed in 2012. The end of the world for many at the time, and the farther I travel through time beyond this point, I begin to suspect that it was a kind of end. And from this perspective, the painting is emblematic of a fearsome knowledge of things to come. A dislocation of human awareness from the forces that motivate its animal nature. A paradigm in which reaction will replace action. Most of what you'll find if you look up the word Baphomet are either the notorious illustration by 19th century occultist Eliphas Levi or histories of the Knights Templar. But Templar history is truly where the word originated to the best of our knowledge and was later associated with the Christian devil due to the Templars' nefarious demise. The poor fellow soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon, mainly known as the Knights Templar, was a French military order of the Latin Catholic faith founded in 1118. They invented the basis for what has become the modern checking system, and were the first non-Jewish persons permitted by the church to practice usury. They became fabulously wealthy as an order, despite their initiates' enforced vows of poverty. They became so wealthy, in fact, that eventually the King of France and even the Pope himself were so in debt to the poor fellow soldiers, Knight Templar, that the debt could never be reasonably repaid. Pope Clement V and King Philip IV of France eventually leveled charges of devil worship against the Templars, among other absurdities, effectively dissolving the order and erasing the debt. At dawn, on Friday the 13th of October 1307, arrests were ordered. And this is where our superstition of this day comes from. During the trial, it was stated that the Templars effectively worshipped a severed head, which they called the Baphomet, and that they claimed the head would speak to them in oracular fashion. Some speculate that the head, though never found, was the skull of John the Baptist, discovered by the poor knights on one of their crusades. Still others think that the Templars found some secret knowledge hidden at the ruins of Solomon's Temple, which allowed them to hold the Vatican perpetually in thrall. But the word Baphomet is perhaps the most oblique piece of this sad history. Most historians speculate that the word is a corruption of the word Muhammad, and was used to accuse the Templars of becoming Muslim infidels. And some occultists feel that Baphomet was a code signifying Sophia, meaning wisdom. But the severed head has a very long tradition in the occult, as well as in my dreams and nightmares. To be one's own witness, to have the eternal mind in vigilant witness of its body's own violence and insatiable appetites. To be forced to witness oneself as if from the outside, an objective spectator. The inviolate space between self as observer and self as actor that is necessary in order to have any autonomy in this life or mastery of the self, and is the exact purpose of mindfulness meditation and other recently popular esoteric and yogic traditions. Modern psychology will tell us that this state of mind is termed depersonalization, derealization disorder, or a mild form of dissociative identity disorder, and that these are mental illnesses necessitating treatment. Strange how most ancient spiritual traditions are in practice meant to create this very state for the specific purpose of gaining greater control over the self and the external world. If you have space to reflect, think, and decide before you act, then you are in control. If there is no space, then you simply react. You have no free will. You have no autonomy, but are simply a reacting automaton. Still, no matter the degree of separation between the self and these animal forces, these forces remain, and this is what it means to be human. Integration of the Jungian shadow, face to face with internal and eternal circumstantial Godhead, the underlying force and motivator of all ego laid bare. Unending hunger for experience felt forever in an instant. The undead God, personification of the evolutionary force, the devil, the God that wears the mask of the enemy, named for the severed head idol of the Templars, the meat puppet feeding this eternal being, man. You can be what you are with your eyes open, learn to ride this beast in aid of your own destiny, or you can sleepwalk through life, effectively pacing backward toward oblivion, with your eyes capable only of reflecting on the past, the future ever a mystery, an ever-present chaos. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share.